There is one thing the world often forgets about Taurus. Those who carry the symbol of the bull are not only strong, they are souls who live by sincerity, gentleness, and a heart that instinctively leans toward kindness. And because they love truly, believe truly, live truly. When they are hurt, Taurus grows quiet in a way that makes the entire universe pause just to listen. Today, you will discover 21 clear signs that a Taurus is hurting inside. Signs that are not loud, not dramatic, but touch the heart the way the earth exhales after a long rain. And wait for reason number 1, because that is the moment where a life lesson is revealed, one that very few are sensitive enough to notice. Before we begin, please leave your zodiac sign and your birth date. I genuinely love reading everyone's stories, each person with a different journey, a different path. Reason 20. Taurus says, "I'm fine," but that is the phrase they use to protect someone else. When they are hurt, Taurus rarely lets anyone see their softness. They will smile, gently whispering, "I'm fine, don't worry about me." But if you listen with your heart, you will feel a long silence living inside that sentence, a place where the wind of life has just swept away something warm. Taurus hides their pain not because they fear looking weak. They hide it because they fear others feeling guilty, fear others becoming sad with them, fear burdening any heart that has ever cared for them. They choose to cover their wounds, embracing the long night alone, just to keep peace in the heart of someone they love. A beautiful thing, yet painfully tender. My personal view is this: this world needs more hearts like Taurus, people who still think of others even when their own souls are bleeding. But at the same time, we must also learn to recognize that quiet ache. Because if only one side carries everything forever, love and kindness can silently turn into weight. And the lesson Taurus unknowingly gifts the world is this: kindness sometimes walks with loneliness. Be gentle with those souls who hide their pain so yours can remain whole. From that simple, "I'm fine," we step into another sign. The moment Taurus begins to build walls around their own emotions. Reason 19. Taurus withdraws, becoming as private as a garden that only blooms when no one is watching. When hurt, Taurus doesn't explode, doesn't demand, doesn't question. They simply close themselves. Not with a harsh door slamming shut, but with a quietness so gentle that people barely notice how they are slowly stepping back. Taurus has always lived through sincere emotions. But when the heart begins to crack, they keep their distance to mend themselves again. The way a garden needs darkness before it can sprout anew. They share less, speak less, open up less. Stories that once flowed easily now lie still inside them, like stones sleeping at the bottom of a river. It isn't because they no longer love, no longer care. It is because they fear that if they step out too soon, they will be wounded once more. My deeper view is this: in a world filled with noise, haste, and judgment, people who live sincerely like Taurus often retreat. They choose silence to protect the last untouched part of themselves. And this reminds us of a quiet truth: never mistake someone's silence for indifference. Sometimes it's simply their way of saving themselves. The subtle lesson Taurus offers is this: if you wish to love someone, give them a safe place where they dare to open their heart. Every heart is a piece of earth, and when it feels enough warmth, it will bloom on its own. Reason 18. Taurus becomes slower, as if they are listening to the cracks inside themselves. Taurus already lives at a gentle, steady pace. But when hurt, their rhythm slows even further. It's not laziness nor exhaustion. It's because they are trying to understand what their wound is trying to tell them. You'll notice Taurus becoming quieter, thinking longer, responding softly, yet with a faraway tone. It is their way of retracing their steps, checking every feeling, and asking themselves, where did I go wrong? Or did I place my trust in the wrong hands? Taurus tends to blame themselves before blaming anyone else. And because of that, they often carry the heaviest weight, the doubt of their own heart. My perspective is this: in a world that rushes endlessly, Taurus teaches us that healing cannot be hurried. Some pains need time to settle, need slowness, to reveal their truth. And each time they slow down, they are learning to reconnect with themselves, a lesson many people spend a lifetime without ever mastering. The gentle teaching Taurus sends to life is this: slowing down is not weakness. It is how the heart finds its true rhythm again. And from this very slowness, Taurus steps into another response, quietly changing their surroundings just to help their heart breathe once more. Reason 17. Taurus avoids places tied to memories as a way to protect the softest part of themselves. When they are hurt, Taurus quietly changes their routes, their usual cafes, the smallest habits, not to escape the person who caused the pain, but to avoid facing the memories that could make their heart ache all over again. A coffee shop they once shared with someone, they will no longer step inside. A street where their hands were once held, they walk the long way around. A song they used to listen to together, they gently turn it off from the very first note. Taurus is not someone who forgets easily. They remember deeply, with their whole heart. So, in order to keep living, they gently move those memories to a place where they won't be touched so often. My human perspective is, everyone has the right to protect themselves from pain. And Taurus teaches us that strength is not always about confronting things, but about knowing what we are not yet ready to touch. And the lesson, soft as a breath, that Taurus leaves for the world. Human beings are not required to be brave all the time. Some wounds must be covered so they can heal in the shade. Reason 16. Taurus becomes unusually tolerant. Normally, Taurus is patient because they are earth by nature, steady, grounded, and unhurried. But when they are hurt, that patience shifts into another realm entirely. They fall silent even when they are right. They yield even when their heart is trembling with confusion. They offer a faint smile even when their chest is quivering with pain. Not because they fear confrontation, but because they fear making things worse. Taurus understands that words spoken from a wounded place often destroy far more than they heal. So they choose to hold back, swallow the storm, and let their heart soften the waves on its own. My point of view is, this tolerance is not weakness. It is the emotional wisdom of souls that have matured. Taurus is showing us that sometimes kindness is the quietest form of victory. The delicate lesson Taurus offers to the world. We don't need to strike back to prove our strength. Sometimes, simply choosing not to hurt anyone further is a rare and noble kindness. And from that quiet endurance, Taurus steps into another expression, where they use their very silence to shield their own pain. Reason 15. Taurus noi itlai, nyung ko tra loi, non nongun, nu kia kuya dangdongdon. When Taurus is hurt, the way they speak shifts in a quiet but unmistakable way. They once spoke slowly, warmly, with a fullness that felt like home. But when the heart is scraped and trembling, their words shrink into short replies. Yeah, it's fine. Whatever. It's okay. Each word falls like a leaf drifting down light, yet aching. They no longer want to open their heart wide. Not because the love has faded, but because every sentence makes them brush against a wound they're trying so hard to hide. They fear that if they say too much, their emotions will spill over and reveal the tenderness they are struggling to contain. My personal belief is this: when someone who was once sincere suddenly becomes quiet, it isn't coldness, it is the soft exhale of a heart trying to stay standing. And the lesson Taurus offers the world is this: listen to the silence. There are stories people cannot speak, not because they don't trust you, but because they are afraid of losing themselves by saying them out loud. Reason 14. Taurus dap tin nyanchum, kung fi vivo tam, ma vi hot dang ko gape lai chin min. When Taurus is hurt, they no longer respond as quickly as before. A message arrives. They look at it and set it aside. Not because they don't care, not because they want to be distant, but because they no longer have the strength to connect instantly with the world outside. Every reply, even a short one, forces them to open a door they are trying to keep closed to protect their heart. Sometimes, even choosing a simple expression makes them hesitate because they fear revealing too much of what is trembling beneath the surface. In this moment, Taurus is like someone gathering their scattered pieces, trying to arrange themselves back into place. And their slow replies are the quiet sign of emotional exhaustion. My belief is, in an age where everyone is expected to be constantly online, Taurus reminds us that humans are not always ready to open the doors of their hearts on demand. Some pains require silence to heal before they can touch the world again. The human lesson Taurus leaves behind is this: be patient with those who answer slowly. Sometimes they are fighting through a storm inside their soul, one you cannot see. And from this slowness, we step into another sign when Taurus no longer wishes to speak of anything that touches their emotions. Reason 13. Taurus avoids every emotional conversation. As if a single question could be enough to make them fall apart, Taurus, in their natural state, lives with honesty, rarely running from what they feel. But when they are hurt, they begin to shy away from questions like, "How are you really doing? Is something bothering you? Are you okay?" It's not because they don't want to share. It's because they're afraid that the moment they open their mouth, their tears will speak for them. Taurus understands that once they begin to talk, their emotions may spill out like a flood they cannot hold back. And they fear burdening others with that storm. They fear losing control. They fear letting someone witness the tenderness they've tried so hard to hide. So they change the subject, go quiet, or answer with words that sound light, yet carry the weight of stone. My personal perspective: this avoidance is the instinctive shield of deep-hearted souls. They love so sincerely that even they themselves fear how that depth could break them once more. The lesson Taurus leaves for the world: ask again, but with gentleness. There are hearts that are not rejecting you. They are simply not steady enough yet to retell their own story. Reason 12. Taurus grows colder, not because the love has faded, but because they are building armor to keep themselves from breaking again. Taurus is naturally warm, slow, and tender like the late afternoon sun. But when they are hurt, that sunlight dims, replaced by a delicate chill, not too obvious, yet clear enough for those who pay attention. They no longer ask as many caring questions. They no longer initiate connection. They no longer smile with that radiant light they once carried. This coldness is not revenge, not a desire to wound. It is Taurus curling inward, the way the earth withdraws its moisture to wait for a new season of rain. They grow cold to protect the softest part of themselves, the part once misplaced, the part that trusted the wrong hands. My personal perspective: many misunderstand Taurus's coldness as indifference, when in truth it is a quiet plea. Please don't hurt me anymore. And if the world learned to read such subtleties, we might learn to love each other with greater kindness. The lesson Taurus offers: when a heart once warm suddenly turns cold, understand that it once loved too deeply. And this coldness leads to another expression: the moment Taurus no longer wishes to bind themselves to any responsibility or commitment. Reason 11. Taurus withdraws from every commitment because they cannot bear to sign another contract that might wound them again. Once their heart has been hurt, Taurus begins to fear anything that stretches too far into the future. They hesitate to promise, hesitate to schedule, hesitate with any words that feel binding, like, "We will," "Later we should," "In the future." It is not because they do not value the relationship. It is because every commitment is a step deeper, and they fear that step might land on the very place where they once bled. Taurus is practical and profoundly loyal. When they commit, they give their whole heart, their time, their patience, the way the earth holds the roots of a tree. So when they are hurt, they cannot easily place their trust again in something they once watched collapse. My deeper reflection: Taurus is not afraid of love. They are only afraid that their trust will be treated lightly. And a better society is built by people who keep their word. Because for souls like Taurus, a promise is not a sentence, but a responsibility. The human lesson Taurus leaves us with: do not promise if you do not intend to keep it. For loyal hearts, A promise is the final refuge of trust. Reason 10. Taurus throws themselves into work or overwhelms their schedule just so they do not have to hear the sound of their own heartache. When wounded, many zodiac signs look for someone to confide in. But Taurus is different. They look for work to do. You will see them suddenly becoming unusually busy, cleaning the house nonstop, working through day and night, arranging everything until it looks perfect, creating long lists of new plans, even though they were never the type to rush. This pace does not come from excitement. It comes from a heart trying to run fast enough to avoid facing the pain inside. Taurus uses busyness like a blanket, covering the empty spaces, the silent sobs, the questions they are not yet strong enough to answer. My deeper perspective is this. Society often glorifies being busy, but sometimes busy is simply the way a human hides their wounds. When we look at Taurus, we understand that some hearts dive into work not out of ambition, but because it is the only place where they do not have to face their own tears. And the human lesson they teach us. Sometimes what a person needs is not for us to lighten their tasks, but to sit beside them in the quiet moments they are trying so hard to avoid. From this overwhelming busyness, we move into another expression, when Taurus quietly distances themselves from places heavy with memories. Reason 9. Taurus avoids places where they might encounter the one who hurt them, like a deeply instinctive form of self-protection. When their heart aches, Taurus begins to adjust their surroundings in the softest, most deliberate ways. They avoid the cafe they once shared with someone, avoid the street where laughter once lived, avoid the places, the people, the scents that could summon memories. It isn't that they fear the past. It's that they are trying to heal by reducing contact with anything that makes the wound pulse again. Taurus is not running away. They are simply choosing a gentler path, one with less wind, so their heart can mend without being touched too many times. My personal view, this act of Taurus is truly worthy of respect, because it is pure honesty with their own feelings. In a world that often forces people to be strong, Taurus teaches us this truth. No one has to be brave all the time. We have the right to step away from pain, the right to avoid the places that break us. And the human lesson Taurus leaves behind is this: honor each other's emotional boundaries. Every soul has the right to choose the path that is kindest to its own heart. Reason 8. Taurus loses interest in the things that once made them glow, like a flower closing its petals for a moment when the air turns cold. Taurus normally lives with such gentle, uncomplicated joys: a good meal, an old familiar song, a beloved little corner of their world, a small hobby they cherish like a quiet ritual. But when they are hurt, these joys begin to dim. They no longer crave their favorite dish, no longer play the song they once greeted each morning with, no longer tend to themselves the way they used to. It isn't laziness, it's the heaviness of sorrow, making every former delight feel too far away to touch. My perspective: when someone loses interest in what they once loved, it is the alarm bell of a soul in need of an embrace. Taurus reminds us that humans are not meant to be strong or synchronized all the time. There are seasons when the heart must gently close itself to recover before opening again to the world. The human lesson Taurus offers: do not judge another's weariness. Some flowers close their petals not because they are dying, but because they are waiting for the sun to be warm enough. And beneath that loss of interest lies another sign when Taurus uses humor to hide the truth that they are hurting. Reason 7. Taurus responds with a soft edge of irony or gentle sarcasm, a thin veil of smoke they release to hide the wound that's quietly burning beneath the surface. Taurus, in their natural state, is tender, honest, and unpolished in the most endearing way. But when they're hurt, something inside them shifts, and a subtle shade of sarcasm begins to bloom. Just enough for anyone who truly pays attention to whisper inwardly. Something in them is aching. A half-joking, half-truthful remark. A strained smile touched with a faint bitterness. A comment that sounds playful at first, but if you listen closely, you can feel a small sorrow woven inside. It's a deeply human defense, a way to wrap their truth in a thin layer of humor, edged just enough to keep the world from pressing too hard on the bruise. My deeper reflection: a Taurus uses sarcasm not to wound, but to create a gentle distance, just enough space so no one can hurt them further. It is a sigh, disguised as laughter, something only those who truly care about them can recognize. The human lesson they leave us. Listen to the words that sound like jokes. Sometimes, the pain people hide most carefully is spoken through a trembling smile. Reason 6. Taurus asks for a little space, but in truth, it is their way of sheltering a heart that has grown tender. Taurus, in their everyday strength, rarely asks for much. But when their heart is wounded, they softly say things like, "Give me a little time. Let me be alone for a moment. We'll talk later." These simple phrases may sound like they are pulling away, but in truth, they are trying to hold themselves together. For Taurus knows that speaking while their heart is hurting might cost them the calmness that is the core of who they are. They fear saying what shouldn't be said, fear hurting someone they care about, fear breaking something that was once beautiful. So they choose silence, they choose space, they choose solitude, like a cocoon that allows their heart to mend its fragile tears. My view: asking for space is not coldness. It is a mature soul understanding that healing often requires distance. And Taurus teaches us that loving someone also means honoring their moments of softness, the human lesson they leave behind. Everyone has the right to retreat inward. When you give someone space, sometimes you are giving them the chance to return in a more beautiful form. After those quiet pauses, if the pain still lingers, Taurus may shift into another response, becoming easily irritable, like dry earth cracking under harsh sunlight. Reason 5. Taurus becomes more demanding, more critical, more easily irritated, like dry earth cracking from the absence of water. Taurus is usually gentle, steady, and easy to be around, but when their heart is wounded, they can turn irritable in ways even those closest to them have never seen. Small things that once meant nothing suddenly unsettle them. A careless sentence, a tiny mistake, a slight delay, a sound just a little too loud. This isn't a flaw. It is emotional fractures rising to the surface, wounds they don't know how to put into words. Taurus doesn't express anger through explosions. They express it through tension, through subtle sharpness, through noticing every little thing they once let pass. My own reflection is this: the irritability of someone who was once gentle is often the sign of pain folding inward. For Taurus, it is self-protection, an attempt to hold their boundaries so they won't be hurt again. And the human lesson they quietly remind us of is, when someone suddenly becomes unusually difficult, look into their pain, not their behavior. Because sometimes irritation is simply the cry of a heart that has gone too long without being understood. Reason 4. Taurus changes their appearance or lifestyle as a way to be reborn after heartbreak. When their heart is hurt, Taurus often does something unexpected. They quietly transform themselves. A new hair color, a different style of clothing, a healthier way of living, or a habit they've never tried before. These changes aren't for attention, not for revenge. They are Taurus rebuilding their inner self, stepping out of the old shell cracked by sorrow. Taurus believes in renewal, the way earth turns green again after rain by letting tender shoots break through. They want to prove to themselves, I can still be beautiful, still be strong, still begin again. My deeper perspective is this: transforming oneself after pain is the act of a soul that knows how to love itself. In a world where people often cling to what is already broken, Taurus teaches us this quiet truth: what hurts should be allowed to fall away so something new can grow. And their human lesson is, we don't heal only through tears, we heal through change. And after this rebirth comes another expression, when Taurus struggles to contain their emotions because their heart has grown too full. Reason 3. Taurus reacts too strongly to small things, like the earth trembling when a crack reaches its deepest point. Taurus is known for their calm. Even when the world shakes, they keep a steady rhythm, like solid ground beneath one's feet. But when their heart is hurt, that calm dissolves. A small comment can make them ache. A tiny mistake from someone can irritate them. A minor change of plans can leave them unsettled. It isn't because they are being dramatic. It is because they carry a pain so large that even the lightest touch can trigger a tremor. Taurus doesn't know how to release their hurt outward. They hold it inside, and eventually, the pressure bursts through the smallest moments. My deeper reflection is this: emotions always find a way to escape. When the wound is deep, it rises in places that seem unrelated. And for Taurus, these strong reactions are simply signs that they have held too much silence, too much endurance. The human lesson they leave us is: do not judge someone by the moment they lose their calm. Look at their heart, the place quietly holding a pain no one else can see. Reason 2. Taurus seeks a new meaning inside their pain, like a farmer lifting his eyes to the sky, trying to understand why the seasons change. When hurt, Taurus does not simply ache. They wonder. They turn inward. They study every crack in their own heart, as if somewhere within those fractures lies a message the universe is quietly trying to send. They will open a book, listen to a teaching, find a quiet corner to speak to themselves with honesty, or simply sit beneath the sky, letting questions fall through them like soft rain. Taurus refuses to let pain be just pain. They want to know what it means. They want to understand how they have grown, even if only a little. They want to discover what this moment is teaching them about trust, about destiny, about loving more wisely. My deeper perspective: Taurus carries a rare emotional intelligence, the ability to turn wounds into wisdom, to transform loss into awakening. This is the beauty society needs to learn. Instead of resentment, Taurus chooses understanding. Instead of collapsing, they journey inward to become a stronger version of themselves. The human lesson they offer: pain does not come to punish us, but to open a new doorway within us. And from here, we arrive at their final expression, the most beautiful, the most sorrowful, and the most human side of Taurus, when their heart is bruised. Reason 1. They smile, but their eyes no longer shine like a sunny sky missing its warmth. Taurus can hide everything. Hide disappointment. Hide hurt. Hide loneliness so deeply that even the closest ones may never notice. They will smile. A familiar smile, gentle, kind, softly placed. But if you look closely, the light has faded from their eyes, no longer carrying the calm shimmer they once held, no longer glowing with the tender fire that lived inside them. Those eyes, that is where the truth rests. Inside them lies the exhaustion of long nights, the silence of words they never dared to speak, the hollow ache of a heart that once gave far more than it received, and also the faint glow of a soul still trying to stand tall, even after stitching its own wounds again and again without anyone knowing. My deeper perspective: the eyes of a Taurus are the most honest mirror of their emotions. They can be so strong that no one suspects their pain, but their eyes never lie. And in that quiet moment, one understands. Those with the most beautiful hearts are often the ones who carry the deepest scars. The human lesson Taurus offers the world: look at one another with tenderness. Some smiles are meant to be held, not believed. The closing passage meditation: poetry and a whisper to humanity. There are souls born with hearts steady like earth, gentle like grass, enduring like stone, yet hurting like water, soft, silent, and unseen by most. Taurus are exactly those souls. They make no noise when their heart cracks. They do not blame when they are betrayed. They do not rush to accuse life when their faith is shaken loose. They simply retreat quietly, heal quietly, and become better quietly, like a silent spring germinating beneath layers of cold soil. Perhaps inside every Taurus lives a teacher they themselves do not recognize. One who shows us that true strength is not found in never breaking, but in the way we rise again after the breaking, with a heart that still chooses kindness. This world needs more hearts like Taurus, those who love with sincerity, forgive with understanding, and endure with a compassion that asks for no recognition. If you are a Taurus or simply someone carrying wounds, please remember this: you do not have to finish healing in a single day. You do not have to be strong in front of anyone. You only need to be gentle with yourself, the way the earth gently cradles a seed before it is strong enough to reach for the sun. Healing is not a race. It is a slow journey. A journey where every breath matters, every tear has meaning, and every crack becomes another window for light to enter. And after all of this, I want to send to Taurus and to every tired heart one quiet truth. You deserve a tender love. You deserve a peaceful life. And you deserve to be seen even when you are silent. Taurus reminds us of this. Strength is not in never falling, but in knowing how to smile in the light after walking through the dark within yourself. May all who are hurting soon be healed. May your heart learn warmth again, and may this journey lead you back to yourself. Gentle as wind, steady as earth, and serene as the first morning light.